Guess what character I could not stop thinking about after the Smash Direct for some ungodly reason? Yeah, Richter Velmont. It's really weird because, like, I think before the Smash Direct even happened, I wasn't really too familiar with Richter. Like, I never hated the character or was neutral on him or anything. I think like I just always liked his design, but I never really felt like, oh shit, I really love Richter until like after the direct, which was really weird. Especially because when I first was watching the direct, I was like, oh okay, we got Simon, whatever. Like they leaked it, and then Richter was there. I was like, oh shit. And then the thing that made me, I think, really like Richter was the realization of I've always liked his character. I know it's like a weird thing to say, but like he was in Symphony of the Night in that intro, and the intro I fucking love Symphony of the Night's intro. It's kind of cheesy. I'd really blame the voice acting for that, but I've always loved that intro, and fucking Richter's dialogue with Dracula will always be one of my favorite moments in video games. It's just so fucking iconic, and I kind of don't like the remake they did with it because they kind of got rid of the line, and it's cool because it sounds better, it sounds more dramatic, and it's not as cheesy. But I don't know. I know the original voice acting is not great either, but still, that is just one of the most iconic scenes in video games. Like if you showed someone that scene, they would know it. And if they don't know it, they'll like, if they ever experience it, they'll see why like that scene is so iconic. But yeah, I love Richter's design, and I wanted to draw my persona as Richter because I was like, I don't want to commission this, but at the same time I was like, well, I don't have a lot of money right now, and even then if I did, I was like, who the hell would I even commission? So I decided, well, I'll just draw it myself to the best of my ability. I'm not really like an amazing artist here, so yeah, this is the little speed paint. I usually start doing these every time I do digital now, even if I don't publicize the video, because it gives me a good idea of how long I take to make these. I think that's a good thing to know. I don't know, at least I think it's a good thing to know, because if you ever do commissions, you can be like, well, it only takes me like maybe an hour to do this, but to do this, it takes me, I don't know, 2 hours, you know, that kind of idea. If you're curious how long this took, holy shit, this is the longest digital thing I've ever done, because every time I do record myself digitally, or not record myself digitally, every time I do one of these digitally, my average, it comes about like 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. This one took about, well, the recorded footage is 4 hours, but it took at least 5 hours to finish this, because holy hell, I had a lot of problems with this. I honestly struggled a lot with this, but for kind of stupid reasons, and we'll go into that later as I kind of go into this more. But yeah, this is just kind of like the basic, you know, the line work. I feel like that's anytime I do digital stuff, this is the thing I'm mostly doing. I really need to start practicing colors more, but I don't know, I just never think about it. And here is really dumb, because it's like, I'm trying to draw the nose more realistic, and I was like, well, am I even doing this right? Because I felt like I drew a few of them. I was like, oh, I don't think this looks right, so I looked it up on my phone, like a wolf nose, and then I went from there, and I kept... the nose took me a ridiculous amount of time, like more than usual, because usually I just kind of draw a shape and call it a day, but this time I wanted to make it look a little bit more realistic, because for more of the dramatic stuff, or for stuff when I'm trying to make it anatomy, like I'm trying to make the anatomy correct, I usually try to go that length too, because it just adds to it. So yeah, that took me a while. The eyes didn't take me that long too, because it looks like I was struggling with these in this, but in reality it was like, oh, I just kind of drew it wrong. But I'm kind of proud of how these eyes came out. And also the eyebrows I did differently too, because usually I just do like a black line. But this time I was like, well, no, I want to actually put some color in these eyebrows. I don't want to make them just kind of black. I kind of want them to stand out a little bit more, so I put a little bit more effort into that. I'm not saying that the black eyebrows I always do or have like no effort into them, but yeah, I just want to make it, oh, you know, this just stands out a little bit more, try something different, you know. So for people who don't know, I really love Castlevania. It's kind of weird because Castlevania is more like a recent game series I got into, And it's kind of weird I say recent, because even by that definition, I think maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. But it's a franchise I kind of dabbled in, and then I had like a big craving for it. And then I kind of burnt myself out, because I played a lot of the Metroidvania, Castlevanias all in a row. I never really beat any of them except for Aria of Sorrow. And Aria of Sorrow will always be my favorite. I kind of wish that Soma Cruz got in as an Echo Fighter. But oh well. It's funny because I made a fake 4chan leak as a joke because I was in a call with a bunch of people. And they're like, well, you should make a fake 4chan leak and see if it gets on Smash Sports. And it actually did get on Smash Sports. But I didn't admit that was me in Twitter until a month ago. One of the joke things, I was like, oh, Simon Belmont will be in, but he'll have Soma Cruz as an Echo Fighter, and yeah, nobody bought that. But I just thought it was really funny. I did kind of call the final Smash meter thing, so that was cool. Well, to kind of get, I guess, on topic with this whip took me, I don't know how fucking long, but I was trying to find an easy way to do this. And I don't know how the fuck I did this, because at first I was like, okay, I'm just going to draw one part of it, copy, paste it, and then put it under it. But then I had issues with that, where it's like, oh, that lines up there, but one of the ends won't line up. So I was like, okay, and then I'll just draw it. But the problem with drawing it is that, and this was the big thing, I kind of want the whip to have the same kind of thickness throughout the whole thing. I don't want it to randomly get thinner. And that was my big issue here. And it wouldn't be a big deal if the whip was like, I don't know, smaller, but the whip is like going widthwise. Kind of rhymes. Well, not really rhymes, but it sounds kind of similar. So it was a pain in the ass to do this. So it took me a ton of strokes to kind of get it. I don't know if it was there, but no, eventually during this, because I was gonna look for it, but I was like, I'm not looking for fucking 4 hours of footage to find it. But sometime during this drawing, I actually get up for a good 20 minutes and actually go eat something. I don't think it's right here, though. Unless it is. Which is kind of crazy if that's the case, because I was in a call with people at the same time. I was dipping in and out of a Discord call. And then I eventually kind of gave up, and I used the line tool. But even then, I don't really like using this, because I don't feel like I could ever get an organic shape with this. It always kind of feels like it's off in some way. I did kind of adjust it to the best I can, but I know like some people, what they do is they use that for the line art, and they just put that over their line art, like just kind of go and then trace it almost exactly. But I never like doing that, because it always feels like none of my shapes are organic that way, or they just don't look right, or they just kind of look too jagged. So, but yeah, like I edited this a lot to get it to the point where I was like, okay, maybe this looks nice. But it took me a while. Like that whip, it was to the point. I think this right here is when I go take the food break. So I was like, you know, I'm hungry. I made myself fried rice. I'm gonna go heat that fried rice up and actually eat something, because I was working on it for I think at this point of the video, I'm an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 40 or hour 50, around that time. Because I know this is like kind of like the halfway point, and I was like, wow. I worked on this for an hour and a half. That's crazy. And usually, going off of my average, I'm like, okay, then in a half hour, I will be done with this. And that'll be cool. And then it's done. But this took a lot longer. Matter of fact, I don't remember if I said this, and if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. I have a bad habit of doing that. It also doesn't help when you do multiple takes, like I'm doing right now. So I don't remember what I said in this take. And maybe last take I said it, but in this take I didn't say it. I don't know. But the whole footage in general was 4 hours long, and then an extra hour just to do some minor tweaking and coloring and stuff, which actually was not recorded because I swapped computers, because I used my laptop to draw, so the aspect ratio is a lot smaller. And the main reason why I use my laptop is not because I want to use it, is because of it's the only thing that's digital that my tablet drivers work with. Like, for some reason, my better computer, I have all this stuff installed, everything should be working technically, but it's like, oh, lol, no. I was like, okay. So, I have to use my old ass laptop still, and I really hate that. It's to the point where I really want to get another tablet. As a matter of fact, I was saving up for a ThinkTeak, but then real life happened, and I ended up using that money for other things, because I needed to spend it on food and whatnot. Because, well, it's cool to save up for something, but if you need your money for something more important, that's kind of what it leans towards. But whatever, it happens. I'll get a ThinkTeak eventually. It's kind of one of my goals, because I would like to do more digital drawing. It's a lot easier than a sketchbook at times, but at the same time, it's like one thing I don't like about digital is I feel like I can't really pick it up without a sketch first, and it's really hard for me just to sketch from digital. I don't know. Like, I've always tried, but every time I do, I feel like something's off, or it's like, oh, I make this too small, too big, I don't know. Where, like, a sketch is like, from a piece of paper, I can really control things a lot easier, and I can get it done a lot faster as well, just because I'm just so used to the medium. Like, even here, one thing I don't like that I do, I like how it looks in the long run, but I don't like it because it takes time, is that for every stroke I usually try to erase to make it look a lot more pointier, make it look like I was actually using maybe like an ink pen or something like that, you know. It makes things look a lot sharper, because I don't like how it rounds out at the end, and so I make sure that doesn't happen, because then it looks nicer to me personally. So, and I don't like how every line I have to stop myself and be like, okay, I gotta erase. I mean, I don't mind it too much, but after a while, it's just like I kind of wish I could just kind of do stuff and get it over with. So you can only spend so much time on one drawing doing so many repetitive tasks. Also there, I was going to add the buttons, because in the costume, or whatever Richter is wearing, I don't know why I called it costume, but in his outfit, it's like a little button thing there, and I was going to add the buttons there for extra kind of realistic-ness, make it look more realistic, I guess, what I'm trying to say. But I decided not to, because like half of this drawing is stylized, half of it is realistic, so I was like, oh, we'll just keep that stylized, it's not a big deal, I'm not losing too much. But yeah, here I am drawing the gloves, which Richter has some really cool looking gloves. I don't know, fingerless gloves look cool to me. I like them. I don't draw them enough. I don't think I've actually ever drawn fingerless gloves. I think this might be the first time. But they are cool, and I like them. I don't know, like, I guess, like, I don't know how usable they are outside of, like, I guess maybe do they help you grip things? I don't know, because they wouldn't keep you warm, that's for sure. Yeah, here I am drawing Richter's weird belt thing. I don't actually know, like, what this is really supposed to be. Like, I only really had a few pictures to go off of, and I was going off of his Smash artwork. I'm not artwork, I should say, his Smash screenshots. So I didn't know what the hell that belt was, so I just tried my best. And I added a lot more to the sketch after getting another look at it, trying to be like, oh, it has this and this and this, but in the end, I just kind of did my own simplified version of it the best I can. And here I come drawing the sword here. So my fursona, I designed him to have this sword, and I liked the sword, and then I got a ref sheet, and then they actually redesigned the sword based on my sketch, and I like the redesign a lot, to the point where this is the first time I'm actually drawing the redesign. But I will tell you one thing, it was hard to do, because basically I was trying to get it, just copy and paste it, make it symmetrical, so I don't have to deal with that. And that's one thing like about digital, I can do that. But when I do that, I don't know if it's just Paint Tool Psi, but it made the other half kind of look kind of blurry, kind of off by a little bit. And I try to like fix it here, try to make sure everything's like okay. But what I ended up doing is I did that, and then I traced over it, like almost exactly. And then just went from there and made the sword. And then eventually put it back in the sheath there. But yeah, the hilt of this was ridiculous to do. But it looks so fucking cool. Like, I really like this design. And I mean, it is my design technically, but it was redesigned, and I liked the redesign that somebody else did for me. I'm like, well, it's technically still my design, so yeah. And it was really fun. This is also another time where I used the line tool, because I was just like, well, I want to make this look symmetrical as possible, and if I were to do it like try to draw it manually, it would not work out. So there you go, just slide it back in there, and it looks pretty fucking dope. And this is the point where I was looking at this, and I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? Not like, not like I didn't know, but there was so many lines here that it was like hard for me for a moment to be like, okay, where's the sword again? Or relationship to the body? I don't know, like it seems normal here, and it just seems like I'm just doing whatever. Like a matter of fact, at this point in the video, I'm past it. But for a while, I was just kind of looking at it like, huh, what? But yeah, it's kind of funny because the whip is the last thing I draw in. Well, the whip technically, but I actually forgot my tail. I forgot his tail. And I was like, wow. It was funny because I eventually start doing the coloring process, and I'm doing, because what I do for coloring is once I get the line art, coloring at least flats is really easy, and it's just, I just do a paint bucket tool because all the flats are well defined. So it's like, oh, I just kind of click and point, and there you go, color. I really should do shading, because then shading would take a little bit longer, but at least like coloring is probably the easiest part. But yeah, I was doing all the coloring. I was like, wait, I forgot the tail. And even in the sketch, I forgot the tail. I don't know why, because I'm like one of those people who are like, if you draw furries with a tail, I think you're crazy. Because it's like, I don't know, where's the tail? I mean, there are some animals that don't have tails, and that's fine. But like, if you're drawing like a canine or a wolf or a fox or a horse or something, there's a tail. You should draw it. I think that's like one of my biggest issues. It's like well, I wouldn't say biggest issues, but it's like one of my minor issues with BoJack Horseman. It's like you got all these furry characters, but they don't have tails, and it's just it's so jarring to me personally. But yeah, so that's pretty much most of the speed drawing. There's more technically, but it wasn't recorded. Like if you look on the whip, it has a little design there, so that's like kind of, I don't know what to call it, like tied together. I don't know the word for it technically, but that was a design I added in afterwards, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna be lazy as hell and not put anything on the whip, and just kind of make it just a solid brown. But that really bugged me personally. I was like, that feels too lazy even for me. So I spent a good hour just doing a little crisscross thing, just to show how, hey, it's got some texture. You can tell it's a leather whip and whatnot. And yeah, that's how it ended up. And this is my fursona dressed up as Richter. There are a few minor edits I wish I could have made. Is what I didn't know is that if you notice on the right belt shoulder pad thing, it has like a little part where it's blue, and I didn't realize that was on both of them. So I only did that to the right one, not to the left one, and I would have edited that, because I just thought they were two different belt things. And besides that, the other thing I didn't know is that the white thing coming like through Richter's shirt tunic thing, that actually continues on to the bottom part, to the right part of the bottom part, not to the left. The left was okay. When I was drawing this and I was looking at more screenshots afterwards, I was like, wow, does that connect there? Because if that's the case, I'm going to feel really dumb. But the right part did, and I kind of wish I added that in. I just thought it was like a separate thing. I don't know. But you don't have that many pictures to look at, and it's kind of going to get confusing. So, yeah. And also, the pants are like a little bit different color, but I don't mind that too much because it's just, I guess, an artistic liberty. Like how I replaced Richter's dagger with my fursona sword, which I kind of wish I made the... Well, it's not the hilt, but I guess the part you grab. Well, there's a technical term for that, but I don't actually know what it's called. I kind of wish I made that a little bit longer, but I didn't. Because I know that's one issue I have a lot with drawing, is I usually make the hands really small and I make the head really big, and this time I did pretty well. I didn't have that issue at all, but the one thing here was like, oh, I made the sword handle kind of small, and it's like the hands are way bigger than it. So I mean, I tried to fix it when I did do the sketch here, but oh well. I think it still looks good though. I'm not like too upset about it. I think the sword looks pretty good. Like I spent a lot of time with that. It was to the point where I was thinking about even shading this, or at least trying to, but I'll be honest, I've been pretty not scared of shading things, but I've been really put off by it, because every time I do shade digitally, I never feel like I get it down right anymore, at least as of late. But I really need to start practicing again, and I've been looking at some tutorials, but yeah, it's something I do need to do more, because there's no way you're gonna get better at it unless you practice it, and I need to stop. Not, like I said, it's not me being lazy, it's more like me being like kind of put off of it, maybe a little bit afraid of it. But yeah, so thanks for watching this speed art video, and I hope you enjoy it. I don't know, do people watch speed art videos? Well, if you come this far, you probably watched it, so maybe. If anybody has come this far, I don't know. Maybe I'll do more of these, I don't know. I usually don't talk over these, because I'm like, what do I say? And if it's me drawing one of my original characters, I kind of feel embarrassed talking about my own characters. I don't know. It's for a lot of reasons, maybe I'll get into another time, but yeah, thanks for watching this speed art video with commentary over it. That's the thing. Subscribe if you want to see more, I guess. I don't know. Because to be honest, this is kind of like the channel where I just dump random stuff on it, and I don't really know what I'm doing with it. But all I know is it's mainly more furry stuff. So, yeah. See you later, I guess.